Welcome to Totally Talent Podcast by HR.com, your go-to source for all things talent. Whether you're looking for expert insights on high-volume hiring, the latest trends in recruitment technology, or strategies for building a winning team, we've got you covered. Join us for each episode as we dive deep into the challenges and opportunities shaping the talent landscape today. Let's get started.
Hey friends, welcome back to another edition of Totally Talent. I'm your host, Mike Wood from HR.com, and I'm here with Reed Egger. He's the CEO of Achilles. Reed, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Mike?
So tell me a little bit about the platform.
Yeah, so essentially the best way to think about our platform is it's helping companies source better talent and screen them faster and get them in front of hiring managers as quick as possible.
Now, I definitely want to touch on your background because you have a background in frontline hiring with oil and gas. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so started out my career on like the finance and operations side, working with upstream and midstream companies. So specifically like pipelines, then people doing the work, actually drilling the rigs, where like labor was always an ever-present problem. Feel like a pipeline being delayed or actually like getting people out to a rural area. So that was like the first time that it actually became relevant, and then spent about 4 to 5 years in that space. And then actually from there moved into a company that was buying and like integrating manufacturing companies and construction companies to like vertically integrate all of their processes. And so then my job was obsessing over all those companies, talking to all the operators and understanding why they were performing the way they were. And then from there, I jumped into frontline recruiting for the skilled trades in the midstream space and in the MEP space, so mechanical, electrical, plumbing, where then I spent about 2 years working on like optimizing labor benches and actually truly doing like skill assessments and skill validation across like 30 states. And then after that, went to work for a tech-enabled staffing agency called Traba, where I was leading all of our expansion into new markets, aka building labor supplies, screening them, vetting them, all of those things in about 25 states. Yeah. So that was specifically more light industrial, but we did some work in like heavier manufacturing.
I wanted to ask you that because there's a lot of founders out here and a lot of new tech, but you've been on the ground. You've been on the ground trying to recruit and do the frontline thing. You're not just another soup.
No, I've done some white collar jobs, but it's always been around the blue collar space. It's my favorite space. I grew up in Texas around like the oil and gas and construction industries. Specifically, like that is what work was for us, like in the space I was in. It wasn't like a bunch of like tech. There was tech involved in everything.
It was more like Deepwater Horizon. You were like jumping off a rig.
Yeah, but the economy was driven by like what I call like real America.
Yeah.
Right. So that's always been like super fun for me. And like in terms of my last job, like let's say when we were expanding our business into Arizona, I probably screened 5,000 hourly candidates myself. Where like we had a new customer that we needed to get 2,000 workers so that we could get to 200. And it was me doing the automations as a human doing all of that.
Can't scale them.
No. Well, so, now we can.
Now you can, yes, with the wonderful power of AI.
Yeah.
So tell me how Achilles is different from like, what's your main, like, where do you wedge into the market?
Yeah. So we specifically focus on frontline teams. Right now, we're specifically doing the greater industrial space and hospitality. We started out industrial and we were pulled into hospitality with some pretty large players in the space. Because I noticed in my past roles, if you look at the backgrounds of some of these candidates, there's a lot of crossover in their job experience, how the practices work with hiring, like how important hiring managers' times are in those spaces and those types of things. But how we plug in is we connect into your ATS, or we can operate standalone. And for everyone who is listening to this, the integration is like measured in hours or days, not in weeks or months, which everyone has traumatic stress about that.
And added costs and all that stuff.
And then with a lot of the other products, it's like pretty binary of how you set it up. It's like, this is how it fits. There's some customization. With us, it's literally like build your own recruiting coordinator. And with that, the workflows around it. So the second someone applies, we custom map to any stage you want. So someone hits your ATS, or they use our call or text to apply number, which I can explain in a second. Yeah. We immediately engage them over text. So it's conversational, it can be deal breakers. They can ask questions. If they pass that, it moves to a phone screen. Where then that is completely dynamic. It can be multi-layered. I can be interviewing a welder and it can say, what's your welding experience? And in the guidance, it says like, must have TIG welding experience. And then our system will actually like search for that experience versus like saying, do you have the experience, to truly like validate that skill set. Then from there, you can go into questions like, what does customer service mean to you, or customer support, or things like that. And then we do this analysis, generate a report, and you actually get like a real world resume for the applicant submitted into your ATS and into our system. So then you're giving the candidate the ability to actually be able to put their best foot forward where I'd say we differ a lot is a lot of the companies right now are focused on like dumping as many candidates into the funnel as much as possible and getting them to an interview. Our job is to ensure the candidate has a great experience, but make sure the recruiter or the hiring manager is actually having something that helps them automate their job, right? And automate so they get to focus on closing the top candidates. So we build from like the bottom up, where we like customize it based on the job and tailor to the candidate, versus like tops down, where it's like, let's get a funnel problem fixed, which we do that too by making it a better experience for the candidate and making it easier for them to apply.
Awesome. Well, I have to ask you something that I'm going to ask everybody that I talk to that is also going to next week's event.
Yes.
That is staying here. Are you might be going home, right?
No,
you're staying here. Okay. So
I'm going to visit a customer in Los Angeles.
Okay, cool. So like, I was asking, like, if you had to stay, like, let's say you're me and you're here alone in Vegas for a weekend and you don't necessarily want to go to the Strip, where should you go?
I'd go eat a steak at Golden Steer.
Golden Steer.
Golden Steer.
All right, look it up.
It's like the most famous steakhouse here.
All right. Well, thank you, Reed.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, appreciate it, Mike.
All right, check out Achilles.
Thanks for tuning in to the Totally Talent podcast by HR.com. We hope you find today's episode insightful and inspiring. Don't forget to explore more episodes and discover valuable resources at hr.com/podcasts, where you can listen to all of our podcasts. Until next time, keep leading with purpose and making a difference in the world of talent.